old enough to know that I'm letting him win, so he really doesn't like the game.
Sure, okay.
And Laura never did like to play cards. She was just, she didn't like it. But
So, now they came along
they were,
later. They were born
well,
in the mid-90s?
David is 8 years old,
Okay.
and Laura's 10.
Okay.
Yes, they did.
And what kind of stuff do you do with those guys?
Well, we play games, but it's games that David can win, and they're fun to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
They tell me all kinds of things. For instance, I was with them one weekend, I guess, and we left the house, and I said, oh, I don't remember if I closed the garage door, I'm going to turn around. And David says, oh, you don't have to, Grandma. I said, sure I do. Your dad would be furious. He says, we went away for the weekend and left it open. That's the things that parents wouldn't tell me.
Sure.
So,
One thing we don't do, we have a beach house, but we never take our grandchildren.
I
Okay.
used to take the older boys.
Huh?
I used to take Johnny and Mike.
Well, I don't remember,
And-
because it's a tremendous responsibility.
And remember Mike
With the
fell?
water.
Mike fell, and I wanted to call the doctor, take him to the hospital, and we called the parent. Stephen was with us that time. And Mike fell out of bed, hit his head on a nightstand.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, they awakened me, and there was blood everywhere, and I said, we need to take him to get some stitches. And we called the parents at 3 a.m., and they said, oh, let him alone, he'll be fine. Well, that kid, who's now 21, has a scar here.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I see him, I'll say to him, Michael, you know, you wouldn't have that scar had your parents not been so stubborn. And so,
Parents, or was it John?
no, his parents, Debbie,
No, I'm saying, because John Sr., his father. Because I know in my family, my dad would be like, shake it off. My mom would be like, no, we need stitches. And it would always be that battle of who's going to win.
I really think it's the opposite in that house.
Oh, really? Okay.
Uh-huh. Because Debbie's a pharmacist and she thinks there's too much medicine and too
Sure.
much this and so on. So I think my son would have said take him,
Okay.
but I talked to Debbie.
So he was fine, but
Oh, he has a scar,
yeah,
which,
it builds character.
or does, that's what he, in fact, that's what he said. Yes. So that was interesting.
Now, the beach house is in North Carolina.
It's in Duck, North
In
Carolina.
Duck, North Carolina.
Right. And when I would take the older grandchildren, I always had Tom or Steve to come down part of the week so they could do things that I couldn't do with them,
Mhm.
like sailing. And, well, sailing was one thing.
Sure.
And take them out at night,
Mhm.
things like that. So they always had an opportunity to do some beach things
Yeah,
that I didn't do.
that's cool. And now, what are some of your favorite memories now with Luke and Lena?
Well, I was with them when they were born.
You went up to Vermont?
Yes, yes, and it was a different but beautiful experience. And they are precious little babies, they have such beautiful smiles.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that Luke looks very much like his father,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel that Lena looks very much like a DePasquale,
Mhm.
because Tony has nieces and grandnieces who have the same type of hair.
Sure,
And so I think they're amazing.
that's great.
Yes.
Yeah, they're cute. You definitely, they're starting to live with the personalities where you
Right,
can talk to them and get some feedback. And
right.
I hear stories of Luke having a little bit of a temper.
Who
So
does?
Luke having a little bit of a temper, a little bit like Tom.
Okay,
So maybe a little payback.
right. Yes, they're beautiful children. I would like to have the opportunity to see them as teenagers. We probably will not have that opportunity,
Sure.
but it would be great to see them.
And Luke is Luke Anthony, so he has kind of a tribute to your name.
Yes.
What's that?
Luke is Luke Anthony. His name is Luke Anthony.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Luke Anthony DePasquale, so he has.
All
the
my
Anthony.
children have the same,
Yeah,
my first name is their middle name.
yeah. And so he carried on that tradition.
Right.
And then Lena is to your mom, right? Because it
Yes.
wasn't Because you said her name's not really Katie.
No, it's Lena, and my name is Ann.
Oh, okay. So that's perfect. So it's kind of a double, so that's really nice.
Right, right, right. I don't, we might have pushed him a little bit there on that.
That's okay. That's your job, your parents. And I can edit out the part I'm about to say. I'm gonna ask you guys if you have advice for them as they get older, and I know that you wanted to just change your wording on what we shot the other day when I asked about
Yes, I
advice.
can do that. Yes, I think that, at least I had a very hard time growing up because my parents,
If I could just stop you, when you start it, just so that it makes sense when we watch it, if you would say, explain that you're about to give advice for them,
oh,
that you might not be able to, yeah.
okay. I would like to just suggest to the children that as they're growing up, be patient because they will grow up and learn to respect their father as a human being. And why can't I, Daddy, do that? And in the end, they'll understand why he said what he said, and you'll understand probably he said the right thing.
Mhm.
That's all.
And at some point, you become buddies. You become friends.
Yeah, yes, you will not just be dad, or he'll be a person, a human being who has a personality, or
Sure,
can think,
yeah.
and yes, yes.
And I hope my children achieve the same objectives with their children that I achieved with mine. My wish was that I would never become a dependent on my children.
Mhm.
And likewise, I hope that none of my children would become a dependent on me.
Sure.
And it's worked out. It worked out with 4 boys. None of them are dependent upon me, and I'm certainly not dependent upon them.
Mhm.
Because I do think that many family quibbles come. Well, when's the last time you saw Dad? When's the last time you gave anything to Dad? When did you last time you gave something to Mom?
I
When's
think some of that happens now.
What's that?
I think they
No,
say that.
no, it doesn't.
Not money by this one.
No, it doesn't, in other words, none of my children feel like they need to support us in
No,
any way.
that's true.
Sure,
That's
sure,
true.
sure.
And we don't feel, certainly not Tom, we
Yeah,
don't feel, well, none of them,
Yeah.
none of them need our support
absolutely. Each one of them is,
to make it.
Yeah.
That's right. And I said, someday you'll all get it equally. Now, Tom was not gonna get any, or I said, it'll be equally, then they can give it away if they want to.
sure.
But, and that has succeeded, in other words, we don't give extravagant gifts.
Mhm.
In other words, I never bought any of my children a car or something like that.
Like, let them earn it and they'll appreciate it more.
Well, first of all, I think it's better if you do wait for a child to earn a car than to give him one when he's 16 years old.
Mhm. I agree. I had access to it.
That is probably the worst thing that we have in our society today. I read in the paper today how many teenagers are killed each year in this country because they start driving when they're 16 years of age.
Mhm. Sure.
And these cars today, see, when my kids were driving, the car had, if you could top a mountain at 50 miles an hour, you were going fast.
Yeah,
You were satisfied.
sure.
Today, you can you get a 4-bagger and top a mountain at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
So there's no such thing as a low-powered car.
yeah.
And as a matter of fact, this article's in one of the magazines I get each month. And it mentions the accident frequency
Mhm.
of 16 years old is just absolutely out of control.
And it's probably a combination because you have faster cars, you have,
The faster cars, you're getting them younger.
mhm,
In other words, 16 years old, most kids expect to get a car.
mhm. More of a sense of entitlement too, I think.
Yeah, and when you get a car for a kid 16 years old, he doesn't own the car owns him.
Mhm.
He's got more friends, he becomes much more independent.
Yeah,
Now, it doesn't mean he can't use a car,
sure.
because none of my kids, I never bought a car. for my kids. And doesn't mean that if they had a date, they couldn't go out, but it would be our car.
Sure.
And you'd be home at such and such a time.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, guys, I think we covered just about everything we could possibly cover. And so now I just have the job of cutting it all up and putting it together and making it come out as a little movie.
I forgot to bring the pictures over to see what you wanted to use,
Okay.
because I don't think they're in any order. I'll have to look through
Okay.
them.
Well, Tom says everything in those two albums were digitized and then printed, and Chip has those.
Right.
Those
I don't-
files.
I don't think they're in any order.
Okay.
So if you could tell me what you wanted, I could go through them and see.
Okay.
But I forgot to bring them.
That's okay. Are you talking the actual physical photos, or are you talking
Right.
about the discs?
I'm talking about the photos because I don't know, I have to see,
Sure.
look at the disc.
What we're gonna do is Tom is gonna get the disc from Chip, because he said that Chip has those.
He does, but
Just
they're
like
not in
Just
any
the
order.
whole
Sure.
shebang.
Excuse me, they're not in any order, they're just
Okay.
in a box.
The photos are, but he's got,
Nancy's
photos.
also got all those photos on a
Both
disc.
of you listen to me, I know that, but they are not in any, they're just put away, all those discs. So I'm
Okay.
going to have to look at them, try
okay.
to find them. You know,
Okay, so I think what I'll do is as we go through and we have it, and if you're talking about one of the vacations to the Grand Canyons,
Okay,
we'll look for photos of the Grand
okay,
Canyons. Wedding photos, holiday photos.
okay. I can-
If you've got photos of your parents, things like that,
Okay, okay.
so,
So I'll have him bring me in, and I'll look at them and see what
okay,
we got, some, give you a look at.
that sounds perfect.
Good.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna shut these down, and I think we've got everything, we're looking for.
Okay,
You know, when they say the greatest generation,